there on the back. If you didn't get one, it's Failures from Fear. That's the name of what we'll be covering tonight. Of course, Chuck is, him and Debbie are out of town. If you look around, most people are. So, you know, we are here, and we're going to have a good Bible class, and we'll go from there. So let's remember all of those that are out of town, those that need our prayers due to sickness. I know Chris, Mary Ellen, and Cooper, they're all have some type of bug. We also need to remember Cheryl as well. So, you know, we need to remember all these people in our prayers. Warren, I believe you're down for opening prayer. If you would, we'll have opening prayer, and then we'll start our class.
Our God, the Most High and Heavenly Father, we're thankful once again at midweek to come together, Lord, and to study your word. We have so many blessings here at this place, Lord, and we're so thankful for them. We give you thanks for the homes we have and the country we live in. And most of all, Lord, we're thankful for your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Without his sacrifice, we don't have the hope of heaven any after a while. Now, as we go through this period of study, Lord, we pray you be among us. We pray for those who are going to participate today, Lord, this evening, Lord. We can all be edified at the end of the day. And we offer this prayer in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. So doing a quick glimpse around the auditorium, I figure if everybody comments for 5 to 6 minutes, we'll get through this 45 minutes pretty quick. So I have a pen, and I have my name. I didn't take a roster, but if you didn't participate 5 to 6 minutes, I'll write your name down and turn it in. So, but anyway, it's Failures from Fear. We all have something, and we all deal with something, and you know that we are afraid of, and something some things we'll battle all of our life, some things we're able to conquer, but however, there are things that when we see that, we're no, that's not me. I'm not doing this. So this is good, and it also, you know, as we go through this, you're going to see where other people, you know, they had their struggles as well. And we'll be able to see how they were able to conquer this or move past it. You know, of course, a lot of it has to do with, you know, having faith and understanding that, you know, God's in control, and at the end of the day, it's, you know, we'll be okay if we have that faith in Him. So, intro, fear is something we all face at one time or another. It means a feeling of anxiety, dread caused by danger, evil, or pain. The cause by the intimidation of adversaries, and fear can arise from many reasons. So we're going to start over in Acts 9, 13 through 14, and we'll start with Tim and Dave, then we'll go back and we'll work our way back up to the front as we go through this. Acts 9, chapter 13. Go ahead, Tim, whenever you're ready.
Acts 9, 13, and 14.
Correct.
Ananias answered, Lord, I have heard from many about this man, how much harm he did to your saints at Jerusalem. And here he has authority from the chief priest to bind all who call on your name.
Okay, so what is the fear there?
He was afraid of Paul's reputation. I mean, this person has the power, you know, to bind all who call on your name, and I'm afraid because you know, I've heard what he's done, and his reputation precedes himself, and so what am I to do? Yeah.
And I did an invitation on that here recently, and I think we would all be a little, you know, leery or on edge if we knew, you know, Paul was to come in and we had heard all the things that Paul had done, that would be an issue or something we'd be concerned about for sure. Janet, Acts 5, chapter 5, verse 11. Sorry.
So great fear came upon all the church and upon all who heard these things.
Okay, and what is it there?
Well, it was about Ananias and Sapphira. They saw that come about, and
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing of it is, you read that, it wasn't from,
It was, well, they brought it about themselves because
Right.
they lied.
right, but the others around them is the ones that, the fear.
Right.
You know, it wasn't amongst themselves. Because what Ananias didn't know, what Sapphira had done, right? So, it's sort of, they weren't on the same page there. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I was thinking about, when somebody sees that happen, thinking, wow, I was thinking about doing the same thing. I'm glad I saw that.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll think twice about that.
right, yeah. Go ahead, Warren.
Well, this is a supposed statement, so it's not in here, but I just have a hard time thinking that probably Ananias and Sapphira, either one, thought the consequences were gonna be what they were.
That's severe.
That they would, and it probably didn't even cross their mind. They thought it was just gonna be, like giving some and all this keeps them back and all this, and they didn't, I just don't see them. Now the rest of the people who saw this happen, I'm sure that lesson was loud and clear for them, and that's the reason.
Yeah,
They had, I think that's legitimate, what they were sharing.
yeah, it's an eye-opening experience. Yes. Go ahead, Miss.
Well, when we talk about not necessarily a fear of reverence, that kind of fear, but in a way, that's what this inspires, when it's this kind of fear.
The reverence fear.
It does.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. But Ananias and Sapphira, they did one thing that was wrong. Their money, huh?
They lied about.
They lied about the money.
About how much
What they
they
gave.
gave it all, and they really didn't. They kept back.
Right. Because what they had done, there was nothing wrong with that. It was the lying part of it of what they had given.
If
Go
they
ahead.
just said it,
Yeah.
it would have been fine.
Right. Go ahead,
The
Tim.
fact that it just shows that, God judges the intent of our heart, right? So
Yeah.
even, if a man looks on a woman, to lust after her, the intent, what we're thinking, it's not always our actions, right?
Right.
It's the thoughts that then lead to an action, but the thoughts, he could tell what their intent was regardless of what, their action was. Oh, here, I'm giving you everything. No, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. For me, it's how do I put this? It's instant, the consequences. They're not 5 years from now. They're not 10 years from now. It's not if I get caught or I never get caught. It was instant. There was no, go ahead, Miss.
Well, not only was it instant, but I think a huge lesson for us with this kind of fear was, like Janet said, they lied.
Right.
And when you think about some of the things that people lie about today, or I'm going to use a phrase that's probably more common, they justify today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was a malicious intent other than, they were trying to deceive people to get that prestige and that praise. And that's what so many in our society do today, and they justify that, and they think that lying is okay because of that. They didn't get a chance to repent. They were
Right.
sentenced, and it was over.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's a huge lesson for us, not just as Christians, but for the people that we talk to in the world and the people that listen is, the reason there was a fear that led to this, I think, future reverence and obedience is because that lying, that justification that we as humans want to do, God says,
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it is, the little white lies, let's use that phrase.
That's what this was.
Yeah, those people, that's so common now that it's not, it's not a big deal.
Base conscience.
It's not that big of a deal. Go ahead, Trey.
But the instant death of, was it Uzzah that touched the ark?
Mhm.
That's the one that just gets me the most, because I felt like his intent was good, but he still went against what.
God's
If
will.
you look at Cain and Abel, Cain's intent may have been good too. He just didn't give what God
His
wanted.
command.
And Uzzah touched the ark when he was specifically instructed not to.
Yeah. Go ahead, Miss.
But Trey, I mean, your point there about he may have had a good intent, but that was a good intent for what he felt was right, and that's not an obedience to what God says is right.
Yeah, but to me, Uzzah's was a reaction.
Well-
If you saw something falling, to me, it was almost a reaction to stop it.
Wasn't it David that said, or whoever, somebody commanded for that to be put on the cart, which was the wrong way to transport it?
Right.
So Uzzah, I don't want to say was an
Suffered
innocent bystander, but again, he knew not to touch the ark.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And I get both sides of it, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, if you see something falling, it's so much a human reaction. However, that's the consequences, and that's how it's paid. Go ahead, Nancy.
But there's a lot of times we look at things that we do in the human aspect of it instead of the spiritual aspect. That you have to really think that through instead of just saying, well, you know, in order to be good on this side or that side, but you really have to think through for God.
Yeah, but there's only one side. You can't worry about that side or that side. There's only one side you really have to be on. Go ahead, Dave.
Here's an example that we have during the New Covenant where consequences were taken care of immediately. And in the Old Covenant, there's many examples where God had direct, immediate consequences when somebody did something wrong.
Right. Yeah, but my thing was, and then we'll move on, is to me, it's the instant, you know, whereas today, you know, we don't have that. You know, granted, we don't know, you know, what tomorrow will bring us. However, you know, our penalty, we might not know that penalty until Judgment Day. And that's, you know, I would be afraid if I seen Ananias and Sapphira that quick as well. We're going to go to Numbers 14, chapter 14 and verse 3.
Why has the Lord brought us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should become victims? Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt?
Okay, so what was the fear or the reason there? What?
The giants?
The giants? Yeah, yeah. It was they're seeing the giants and thinking that's not going to be possible. The imagination that goes with it. Nancy?
They forgot how they got there to begin with.
Right, yeah.
Well, it's extreme lack of faith.
Right, yeah. It's a short-term memory, so, okay. All right, so we're going to move on down. We are not talking about fear of reverence, as Missy brought up, you know, however it does create that reverence. We're talking about fear that causes one to be afraid. We're going to start in Matthew 25, and we'll go ahead and read 14 through 30, and we'll go two verses each. Nancy, you want to start us off there?
For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, and to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey.
Immediately the one who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and gained 5 more talents. In the same manner, the one who had received the 2 talents gained 2 more.
But he who had received 1 went and dug it in the ground and hid the Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them.
EJ, you want to read a couple?
Maybe. And so he, wait a minute, 20?
20.
Oh, okay, I was getting ready to read wrong, okay, hold on. And so he that had received with 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents. Cool. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord.
Bernice, you up for a couple?
He also who had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents beside them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. The next one.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave. You're up 24, verse 24, please.
Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid, and went and hid the talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours.
But his Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reaped and I have not sown, and gathered where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back with interest.
Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath.
And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Okay, so the fear, what's the fear there? Well, go ahead, Nancy.
Well, the third one was the one who feared.
Okay.
He was like, what good is it gonna do? Because you get everything you want, so to speak. And so I'll just hide it, I'll just make sure you get back what you gave.
Okay, so what was the answer on that then? Go ahead, Jenny, I'm
Well,
sorry.
I just put failed to be faithful to the tasks given by the master. And he
Okay,
just, he was, I
there
don't
was
know,
no effort.
feared that he wouldn't perform, I guess.
Right,
And.
yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say, failure to live up to expectations, right? So somebody expects you to do something at a certain level, and you don't think you can do it, so you just don't do anything,
Right,
right? And so you don't even make an attempt.
exactly. Go ahead, Bernice.
I was thinking that it could have been also that he only had 1 talent and he didn't want to risk losing it.
Okay. That's what?
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure, right? Yeah. So, why would we do that? What causes people to do that? What?
Better to have one than none.
Better, yeah. Okay. But the thing it's sort of like me standing up here in front of you guys. Is that a fear for me? Not as much as it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, ever how many times I've done this, But the point is you don't know your ability or you don't know your talent until you're willing to try it. And a lot of times you might fail at it, but you still want to keep trying to develop that talent because we never know what we're going to do, who we're going to touch, or how we will develop until we're willing to fall off that horse a few times. And that's a big thing. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, we're all just expected to do as much as we can to our abilities, right? So we're
Right.
not expecting somebody who is not a professional speaker to all of a sudden turn into a professional speaker, right?
Right.
but we're expecting to do as much as we know that we can, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so all of us, given the opportunity to step up for any responsibility, have some level of, well, I can do that. I might not do it very well, but I can do this.
Right.
And versus everybody saying, no, nobody raising their hand. I can't do it. Nobody can do anything, right?
Go ahead, Misty.
Well, I think some of this fear also comes into play because we all have different levels of risk tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
What we're willing to risk and how much we're willing to go out. And you see this especially in the financial world, right? How much money you run a risk. Are you going to put it to a savings account or are you going to play the stock market? Well, I think the example here is given though, the one talent man wasn't expected to perform at the level or the same kind of activities as the person that was given 5 talents or 2.
Right.
When I think to people that I've known over the years, one of the most talented, most lamented women that I remember when she passed, her biggest talent was she wrote cards and mailed cards if you were sick, if you had a birthday, and really reached out and touched people in that way.
Right.
She wasn't the person speaking. She wasn't leading songs. She
Yeah.
wasn't leading Bible studies. But she had a real gift for writing those cards. And she did that, her and her sister did that with joy.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a lesson. When you let fear of failure because you can't do, or you don't have the same abilities as the people around you, stop you,
Yeah.
you're not using what you can do really, really well.
Right. And that's the thing. If you're able to do that, then excel at it. Don't, just use it and, wait for another time or whatever. If you have the talent, that's the thing. You be able to use it and be willing to use it because you are, that lady that wrote the cards, she made an everlasting, effect. Yeah.
Many people.
Right. So,
Visitors, I mean.
right. So even though, and I think that's another thing we can look at. Talents aren't really, to me, they're not put on a scale. If you have that talent, then use that talent because that talent's just as important as the other person's talent. And when they're all put to use and they're all used in the right way, every one of them is just as important as, the next person's. Go ahead, Janet.
I just kind of followed this one. I wonder if you could look at it as like he kind of had trust issues too. Like some people will hide their money in their mattress instead of putting it in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be a trust issue too.
Yeah. Well, to me, it's all about developing your abilities and being able to use those talents and no matter how small or major you might think they are important. EJ, you got something?
Maybe. I just have a dumb question.
Well, I probably got a dumb answer, so we'll be on the same page.
On the back streets. Now, this was like 3 peoples, right? 3
Mm-hmm.
males, and they had these talents.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like, wouldn't they all talk to each other and find out what is it that you're going to do and what you want to do and what you're not going to do? Can you do this? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and it sort of goes back to what we're talking about, the comparison thing, even though they had 5 talents and this one had 2 and this one had 1.
Yeah, but meddling with each other, find out
Yeah,
what
well,
you're going to do. It's like,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
they may not have,
Been
been in that area with each other or something, Go ahead, Miss.
Also, we do need to remember that the talents talked about here is money. It's
Right,
physical.
right.
But that being said, we don't really read that they knew each other. They could
Right.
have been slaves from 3 different parts of the same.
Yeah, they could have been one from Henderson, one from Evansville, and the other one from Owensboro. Yeah,
But, you would think that at some point there's probably, they knew at least the expectation, obviously it says that from the master. So I can't say that they didn't know each other, but I can't say that they did either.
right. Yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't tell us. So, all right, we're going to go to Galatians chapter 2. Sandy, I think you're up, correct?
Now when Peter had come to Antioch, I withstood him to his face because he was to be blamed. certain men came from James, he would eat with the Gentiles, but when they came, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing those who were of the circumcision. And the rest of the Jews also played the hypocrite with him, so that even Barnabas was carried away with their hypocrisy.
Okay, so the fear there is,
Looking bad in front of others.
huh?
What others may do or say. Was that
Okay.
good?
Go ahead, Sandy.
I was agreeing with Nancy.
What Nancy say? I didn't hear it.
Making, they look bad in front of everybody if they had not separated,
Yeah,
you know, it's not looking good.
yeah. What'd you say, Bernice? I'm sorry.
Our fear of what others may do or say.
Okay. Anybody else? No. I put peer pressure. Pressure of peers.
It
You
didn't
know.
sound like to me when I was reading, like they were gonna beat them up or something, or attack them.
Yeah. So what's the main point of the story? Of those verses anyway.
We don't know whether or not he would have gotten, to Bernice's point, beat up or attacked.
Yeah.
If he had that fear of what other people thought, that he had allowed that to encourage him to do something that wasn't right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Warren.
Well, I think it's pretty evident that he was prejudiced, and Paul called his hand on it.
Right.
I mean, that's, I think, a simple take on that.
Yeah.
I think confronting him was the right thing to do. It's a hard thing to do now, let me say that. Sometimes it's not an easy thing to do, but it's the proper and it's the correct thing to do. I think in the long run, that's what we should do.
Right. Yeah, if you see somebody that needs to be corrected,
Yes.
now granted, there's a proper way to do it, but it still needs to be addressed. Go ahead, Bernice.
Which one was prejudiced, Paul or Peter? I mean, I thought it was
Yeah, it was Peter.
Peter.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Peter was the one that was sitting down eating with the Gentiles.
Until the Jews showed up,
Yeah,
Right.
then he moved.
and then he left.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Warren.
Not that many years ago, in World War II, we all remember what the Germans, the Nazis did to the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a classic example, all the things that took place in there, that how the treatment of the Jews affected a lot of other people. They would refuse to help them. There were isolated instances where there were Christians who helped those Jews survive that Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
You can read about them. It's a factual thing. So many of them turned their back on them, and they were just killed. So there's a classic example we got for ourselves. It's reversed of what it was then, what we're
Right.
talking about in the scripture. But it's exactly the same kind of prejudice we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Misty.
It may not have been the prejudice that Peter had specifically, but of some of the other Jews, and he was fear of their repercussions. But his behavior and not standing up for what was right led others, including Barnabas, who had a reputation for being encouraging, to do the same thing.
Right. Yeah, they followed the crowd, you know. What's the phrase, monkey see, monkey do, you know. It's just, that's the way it is. Go ahead, Janet, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know, I mean, and this is just a question, would the Jews have, I don't know, a fear of knowing that the gospel, or realizing the gospel was for the Gentiles too?
At this time, yeah, you know, and, you know, of course, we're reading in Hebrews now, you know, it's still a big sticking point, you know, then. So I think it's, you know, a sticking point for, you know, many, many
Right.
years. So, yeah, because they had their old law, a lot of them still wanted to hang on
Peter
to.
may not have acted the way he did, I mean,
Yeah,
you know, didn't want to.
yeah. Missy?
I was just gonna say, was it fear, was it arrogance that they're no longer God's special
No.
people?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, it's,
Yeah, it was a tough pill for them to swallow. So, you know.
that was the other half of the question I was thinking of, Janet.
All right, let's go to Matthew 10, and we'll read verse 28. And I'll take it. And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. So the fear in that one is to what? To teach others.
I put to fear God because he has the power to send you where you don't want to go.
Right, yeah. I put, yeah, the torment's what I have, so. Anything else? Physical fear? Because of the body instead of the soul? Right. Yeah. Go ahead, EJ.
What about, what do you call them, false somethings, that's not telling the truth?
False prophets?
There you go.
Yeah. But they will
I'm
be,
thinking that they, you know, it's like they listening to somebody that's taking one word and running to the east with it.
right. And they will be judged accordingly.
That's
So,
what I'm saying.
right. But each and every one of us, it's up to us to, you know, we're all responsible, each one of us, for our own salvation. So if that prophet is teaching false prophet, then it's still up to you or each individual to account for his own soul.
See, I was thinking about some of them preachers that you see on the television. And those people, I mean, they got a lot of audience, including the female preachers got a lot of audience, and they just dip into their little pockets and they just drop it in their little bucket. And she,
But that's,
Mercedes and everything else.
right, and they will be judged for that.
She don't
But,
care.
well, yeah, not right now she won't, because she's not worried about the one that can kill both body and soul.
That's all she cares
Right,
about.
well,
That's what
but
false
she will,
teachers.
but it's still up
No.
to us to say, no, that's wrong, and we have to do what's according to the word. Go ahead, Nancy.
Well, I mean, you even look at in Corinthians, you know, and there was some contention within, and Paul said, you know, that somebody, that the household of Chloe had told him that there were some problems. So here's our, you know, that we know when there is something not right or not right.
Right.
To be able to come out and to get the person who can actually talk to them, who has the knowledge
Yeah.
to come, and
But-
not just let it go.
And it also goes back to the Galatians, what we, you know, just talked about. You know, it's, you know, given the opportunity and the chance to correct those, we should do that, and to teach those as well. All right, so, yes,
Is fear of hell the same as what she, is that what Trey meant, physical pain?
the torment, yeah, that's, because where is it, do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell, so torment, you know, right. Anything else? Okay. 1 John 4:18. Tim, I believe we're back around to you.
There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves punishment, and the one who fears is not perfected in love.
Okay, so the fear in that one,
I was thinking about, you know, fear God and keep His commandments. Right, so if we fear God, keep His commandments, and we love Him like we should, then there's no fear in that. Like I said, there's no fear in love.
right.
Right, so we love God like we should, and we're obeying Him, then we don't have anything to fear.
Yeah, it's, so why should we should never fear heaven, correct? You know, yeah. Go ahead.
But I think we need to understand God's love so that we don't fear. I mean, I don't know if it's a maturity thing, but I mean, you know, you need to understand, you know, the love of God. I mean, some people, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put it in my head, but I can't.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, Missy.
Well, you know, when you look back at verse 17, it talks about love is perfected, that you can have confidence in the day of judgment, and then it immediately goes into this, you know, perfect love does not fear. And I think that kind of goes back to what Janet's getting at, is when you have confidence in what you're doing, and in obedience, and in your faith to what God has said, there's no room for fear because you have that confidence. You know, you don't
Because that
allow it to
love's
stop
been-
you from doing what you need
Right,
to.
because that love's been perfected, and how was it perfected? It was perfected on the cross, correct? You know, so, and I agree, it's, I find it hard to believe that we have, with love, we should have no fear. But the failure of that love is where we need to have our fear, is when we know the consequences of not having that love. And those consequences, we all know, would be, you know, hell or torment, you know, and that's, go ahead, Trey.
I was just kind of thinking of how Chuck kind of puts it, and that's the love that a parent has for a child. And a child that feels fully confident in the love that their parent has doesn't fear, are they going to feed me tonight? Are they going to let me come in the house and go to sleep? Or
It's safe.
Yeah, they know that that love is there. They have that full confidence in their parents, and we need to have that full confidence in God.
Right, we should, as Christians, we should never fear that God doesn't love us.
Right.
Yeah, that should be that confidence. Agreed or disagree? Go ahead, Sandy.
And if you love God, you'll do what he says.
Right, you'll keep his commandments.
Right.
Yeah,
You'll do what he says.
Yeah.
And then you've got confidence.
yeah. Go ahead, Miss.
Well, in Trey's example too, as a parent, you're training your children to go out there and face the dangers in the world so that they can also react without that fear of what's out there. And they can have that same confidence, because I think that's part of it that we forget. Is just like the Bible trains us to be Christians, we do the same thing with our children, and we train them to be hopefully Christians in the future, but, you know, productive and adults to be able to, you know, perform in society.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You know, I guess for me, I put down as one of my, is even when we know the ending results, you know, we need to have that confidence in knowing at the end, if we love God and keep his commandments, we're going to be able to withstand that and not have that fear of torment. All right, let's go to Matthew. John 9:22. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right.
His parents said these things because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had agreed already that if anyone confessed that he was Christ, he would be put out of the synagogue.
All right, so what's the fear there?
Well, this is when the blind man was healed.
Right.
And they kept asking questions.
But they were
and
asking his
questions.
parents
And
then.
then started asking the parents, and it's like, you know, it's what it was is the parents feared that their son would be kicked out of the synagogue if he confessed Christ.
Right. And then later on, what happens? What does their son do later on?
Well, he confesses
He
Christ.
confesses Christ. So the fear is being kicked out of the synagogue, right? Or to make to stand up for what's right. That's the key to the whole thing. Go ahead, Warren.
No, kind of a parallel with that logic there is, how many people do we know that belong to a certain denomination? And they will agree with you. They are not about to give us I guess you'd say the connections that they have with family and all involved in it. They're willing to turn a blind eye to the truth.
Yeah.
To stay there where they're at. And that's not unusual. I mean,
Oh.
if you, and I'm sure you've met folks who are distinctly involved in a certain denomination, religion, that's pretty prolific. And if you think you're going to talk to them and get anywhere, It will agree with you, but that's the end of the story.
Yeah.
You know, you can put your principle, and that's sad, but I think it's sad.
Yeah, and something similar to that happened to me when we first moved back here from California. We were attending a place across the river, dirt poor, I mean, scraping dirt to get by. And a lady told me, said, my husband can get you a job here if you're interested. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll take anything right now. And then about a week later, these alarms started going off. This isn't right. And I'm talking about a worship service. This isn't right. This isn't right. And then I finally said, you know what, you're not teaching the truth here, so we're going to move on. And then I seen that lady a few weeks later. I said, hey, were you able to talk to your husband about that job? She said, nah, that's not going to happen. So, you know, but that's okay. You know, to me, I think I stood up for what was right. So, but sometimes that's a tough thing to do, you know, and it really is because of the standing or those connections, you know. Anybody have anything else? Nope, you got 3 minutes. So everybody's done really well, so I'll give everybody a star. So let's go to Matthew 10:34.
Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword.
All right, so what is the fear here?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I still put the fear is going to be the decisions you're going to have to make. Whether because basically it's talking about family, you know. He didn't come to, create peace, but in verse 35 it says, I've come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law, so those are the decisions, that we're going to be put into. So fear is, are we going to be able to stand up and do what was right? Sort of the previous verse as well. Anything else? Go ahead, Dave.
Pretty tough. Your direct family, pretty tough thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, it is. It sure is. I agree.
If the husband and wife are all in one accord, there's no problem.
Yeah.
We're doing what the Lord wants.
And that's the objective. So, all right, so we'll go through this one pretty quick. Some cures for fear, Matthew 28, verse 19. What's anybody have on that? Anything?
Knowing Jesus has all the authority.
Okay. See, and then I've got the first step, because it's talking about go and preach the gospel. That first step, you never know who you're going to influence or anything like that. Anybody have anything else? Galatians 6:2. So and this one's talking about the what is it? Bearing one another's burdens. So,
Help each other out.
Help each other out. Yeah. Anything else?
Well, to focus on somebody else, then you're not thinking about your own fears, right?
Yeah, it's not about you. Yeah. For me, the cure for that fear is it's great to know that, you have someone else that you can turn to. That's go ahead, Miss.
It's just a different kind of peer pressure. It's the kind of peer pressure you want.
Yeah, it is a
to
good.
help encourage you to go do what you should do. If you're trying to do all of it by yourself, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. You're on the island by yourself sometimes, and that's not a good thing. Yeah, you have to reach out. Matthew 26:36 through 39. And this is when Christ goes and prays. So what does anybody have on that one? Think,
Praying to God.
praying to God? Yeah,
It's, I mean, cures fears.
yeah. It's just good that you can know that through prayer, you know, even Christ prayed, you know, and needed that prayer, and how much we needed as well. Go ahead.
Well, and if you read on down, he was very disappointed when he came back and they were sleeping.
Yeah,
So it's not just that we need to have a prayer life, but we need to have a prayer life with other people.
okay, yeah,
I think there's some power in that, because while Jesus may have been the one praying, I think that there was still an expectation they should have been.
yeah. They're with him, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
And submitting to his will, right? He prayed, and then he said, whatever,
will be done.
Your will be done, right? So just not only prayer, but also submitting to what we know he wants us to do.
Right. Dustin, can you, I guess Kayla's the only one, correct? I think so. So whenever she's ready, we are. The teacher out here is, so. Okay, Philippians 4:13. What's it? What we have on that one? 4:13.
We can do all things through Christ.
We can do all things through Christ. Yeah. And then 1 Corinthians 10:13, I just put wow. You know, God is faithful, you know.
And knowing that no temptation is going to.
Yeah, and no matter what,
Yeah.
he gives us an escape from those temptations. All right, thank you.
I'll fill in for Kevin since he's not here tonight. Now turn to 676. And then the song across from that, 674, will be the invitation song following Dustin's invitation. So we'll sing the first, second, third, and fifth verses of 676. There's within my heart a melody, Jesus whispers sweet and low. Fear not, I am with thee, peace be still, in love like ebb and flow. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know, fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go. All my life was wrecked by sin and strife, discord filled my heart with pain. Jesus wept across the broken stream, stirred the slumbering chords again. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know, fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go. Feasting on the riches of His grace, resting neath the sheltering wing, always looking on His smiling face. That is why I shout and sing. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know, fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go. Soon He's coming back to welcome me. beyond the starry sky. I shall wait my flight to worlds unknown. I shall live with him on high. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know, fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go.
If you want to take out your songbooks, the basis of my invitation tonight is going to be Song 244. Going to be talking about song number 244, so if you'd like to turn there. And I don't know about the rest of them in here, but I always try to go through a process when I'm thinking of an invitation. All right, what do I need to hear? What do I think would be beneficial for others to hear? And I usually try to do it on the more of the motivational side. You know, if you're struggling to become a Christian, if you're already a Christian and you're struggling, what's something that I can say that might help somebody? And one of those things that came to mind this week is God, and how he is not going to change no matter what, and that is something that we can rely on. You know, in Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 8, it says there, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. And I think we can find great comfort in that. You know, what God told us we know is true, and we know it's going to stay that way forever. So if you want to read along with me, I'm just going to read through these verses here in Song 244. First verse, time is filled with swift transition, not of earth unmoved can stand. Build your hopes on things eternal, hold to God's unchanging hand. The first verse right there, you know, this life is filled with many changing things, and that can be good sometimes, but it can also be bad sometimes. But God is unchanging. Verse number 2, trust in him who will not leave you, whatsoever years may bring. If by earthly friends forsaken, still more closely to him cling. Again, many things in this life change, and we can't always depend on the things in our lives, but we can depend on God. Verse number 3, covet not this world's vain riches that so rapidly decay. Seek to gain the heavenly treasures that will never pass away. Again, many things in this life will come and go, but the hope of heaven, that is something that we can depend on. And we know that if we are faithful, as it talks about in the next verse, that's something that we can have forever. So finishing off, verse 4, when your journey is completed, if to God you have been true, fair and bright the home and glory, your enraptured soul will view. So, yeah, heaven, that's what we're all striving for, and we know that we can depend on that forever because God is unchanging, his word is unchanging, and if we are faithful to him, if we obey him, that is something that we can have eternally. So if you're struggling and you need help, anyone here is willing to help you. We just offer you this time as we stand and as we sing the song of invitation.
There's a great day coming, a great day coming, there's a great day coming by and by, when the saints and the sinners shall be parted right and left. Are you ready for that day to come? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for the judgment day? Are you ready? Are you ready for the judgment day? There's a bright day coming, a bright day coming. There's a bright day coming by and by. But its brightness shall only come to them that love the Lord. the judgment day. Are you ready? Are you ready for the judgment day? There's a sad day coming, a sad day coming, there's a sad day coming by and by. When the sinner shall hear his doom depart, I know ye not. Are you ready for that day to come? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for the judgment day? Are you ready? Are you ready for the judgment day? Let's thank Dustin for the invitation. It goes along with the Bible class we had tonight about fear and, trusting God, fearing Him, loving Him, and knowing that He's always there for us. And we know if we don't abide in His Word, then we may have that fear, the kind of fear we don't want to have. But we're thankful for everyone who's been here tonight. Hopefully we've all been edified. For those of us who are here, most of us are gone. But those of us who are here, it's always about who's here to study. It's not about who can't be with us. We miss those that are not here with us, but we had a good Bible study tonight, and hopefully we've all benefited from being here this evening. Let's remember those who are away from us and pray for their safety as they travel back. Let's remember those who are in need of our prayers about health issues and concerns as well that we need to pray on behalf of each other. Are there any other announcements, any specifics that we need to make known before we're dismissed in prayer? Dustin?
We'll be traveling this weekend.
Okay, so Dustin and Kayla will be gone this weekend. So they'll be gone and be replaced by some others coming back. So pray for your safety as well. I think, okay, Brad. Dave, would you lead us in a closing word of prayer?
Let's bow. Our dear and gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for this privilege that we had to come here in this midweek Bible study to study another portion of Thy Word. We pray for those, dear Father, that are not with us here this evening, that the ones that are traveling, dear Father, that they have a safe journey to their destination, and they might be able to return home safely, dear Father. And we pray continually, pray for Cheryl, dear Father, that the doctors will find a final solution to the issue that's been troubling her. And we're so thankful, dear Father, for your Son, our Lord and Savior Jesus, who loves us so much. That He was willing to go to that cross and give His life and shed His precious blood. His blood cleanses us from our sins, and His death and resurrection gives us hope of having everlasting eternal life with Thee someday, if we've been found faithful. And we pray, dear Father, that we're living our lives in such a manner, the things we say and the things we do will be pleasing in Thy sight, and that someday we'll get to hear You say, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter ye in here at the gates to heaven, our eternal home." It will be such glory seeing Jesus face to face, dear Father, and singing songs of praise unto You and throughout an endless day. Be with us as we go our separate ways. Put Your loving arm and protection around about us, and we might be able to meet at the next time, appointed time. Forgive us, dear Father, when we sin and fall short. In Jesus' dear name we pray. We say amen. Amen.
Thank you very much.